Welcome to Promo Insiders, the ASI Media podcast that covers the issues that matter most to the promotional products industry. I'm Teresa Hegel. Today I'm joined by my colleagues Tara Lerman and Hannah Rosenberger, and we're just going to have kind of a fun, easy breezy podcast today about some of the cool branding things we've seen and just sort of give our opinions on them, why they're, interesting to promo, and just kind of have a little chat. But Hannah, so the reason I thought of this is just because you've been doing this best in branding column maybe once a month or every couple of months. Can you tell everyone a little bit about what that is and sort of how you put it together?
Yeah. So my goal with the Best in Branding column is really just to highlight merch in the wild, I guess would be the alternate title. I feel like I see so many fun like little campaigns and things as, I feel like working in this industry, it's you can't get around seeing it everywhere.
Right.
But not everything I feel like is, worth maybe a full story or like its own article. So this I started it as just kind of like a here's some fun things and here's why they're relevant to the industry, but more importantly, like here's why they work well and
Yeah,
maybe some
yeah.
some lessons the industry can take away from them. So
Right, right.
it's
It's
fun.
a source of inspiration. It's fun. I know you get to have a little bit more fun with the writing of it too.
Yeah.
You get to kind
Yeah.
of, you know,
I'm a
use
little
use
cheeky.
those humor skills that we don't get to use as much as we might like when we're
Exactly.
writing about data and things like that.
Exactly.
Um, and I mean, the funny thing about a lot of the stuff in the best in branding is that many of them are probably done by people in the industry, but
Hmm.
because our industry is, kind of keeps it close to the vest, we don't always know who put it together, but they could be getting a little secret props like, oh, Hannah wrote about that thing I did. I can't talk about it, but I did that.
I
That was
have
totally
gotten one or
us.
two emails from industry people that were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I saw your whatever, like that
Yeah.
was my company," which is
Yeah.
funny to me.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like obviously sometimes they're able to share case studies with us and
Hmm.
give us all the deets, but a lot of times they're under, NDAs or it's just,
Right.
their company or their clients don't want anyone to know who did this for them. So but it's nice to still kind of be able to give credit for like a cool campaign, even if you can't say who the distributor is that put it together. Um
Absolutely.
so I thought like we each kind of came up with some things we've seen recently, and we'll just sort of go around and talk about them and why they worked, why they caught our eye. Tara, let's start with you.
Yeah. So I kind of, the with thought that the barista cup, this is
The
the kind of
Barista,
the
right?
barista cup. I know I'm
Barista.
not pronouncing it correctly. Um, from Starbucks was a really interesting case because it went totally viral. Even people outside the industry really
Can
took
you
to it.
explain like
And
what this cup looked like?
yeah, absolutely. So, so it's a, kind of bear-shaped cup. It really, I think it was based on the kind of old honey cup, that they had like I don't even know when that was, but, yeah, so it is, this tiny little bear. I don't know how big. It's probably like the size of like a mug, so like one coffee. And it has like a cute little green cap, like a beanie on it, and has a straw, so it's very useful, but also very cute. So it went viral right away. I think it sold out within, hours, if I'm not mistaken. And Starbucks ended up issuing an apology, basically, saying like, I'm sorry that we didn't have enough supply for what people wanted. So it was interesting because it's like, how do you predict what's going to go viral? I think sometimes you can, but it really depends on like the moment in time and what people are looking for. And that nostalgia element, I think, proved to be really
Yeah.
useful and important to people. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting one that even gained a lot of mainstream media attention outside the industry.
Right. And I
Yeah.
mean, it is hard because if you were to kind of roll them out and like make so many of them to keep up with like the demand you think there's going to be, what if it was a flop and then you're
Mhm.
stuck with all this waste that you can't do
Right.
anything with? And I mean, obviously that's one of the things where we are looking at like how print on demand can kind of help with that. But with something that's so custom like the barista, I don't know if a print on or like a creation on demand, I don't know how well that could work or if that would keep up with the demand that there is, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. How do we know, like, how can you predict what is going to go viral? I guess if we knew that, we would have made some viral things and,
Yes.
be very rich right now.
And then it's interesting to think about because if if you think about this barista and maybe you design something similar, is it going to have the same effect because it's not new? It's not this novel thing. So
Right.
I think that's the other thing to think about. Like, it was just this thing that no one expected, and that's why it went viral. And if we were to kind of take, some takeaways from it, like would it go as viral?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah, you might just
The
be a copy.
scarcity too.
Yeah.
Like
Copycat,
that-
copy bear. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, I mean, and then like I know they were being resold for like way, way, way more than the price. And it's like that's a whole other issue, but
I
you know.
saw
Right.
a post on I'm a Facebook Marketplace stalker, so I saw like a listing on Facebook Marketplace the next day that was willing to trade any amount of Labubus for the Starbucks like barista cup, which made me laugh. Like a
That's
lot.
funny. What about maybe you can paint like Beanie Babies? That's like the
Yeah.
really old school
That's
one. Or Tickle Me
like a
Elmos.
vintage item now.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, Hannah, what's your first example?
So to any college basketball fans out there, college basketball season has started. I was not a college basketball fan until I went to a college basketball school and I was kind of forced into it. So now I am
You've been
dialed in.
indoctrinated.
I was indoctrinated. I am dialed into the things. But one little mini sector of the merch industry that has fascinated me for a while is the NIL, name, image, likeness segment. If you're unfamiliar, that's when within the past couple of years, college athletes are now able to make money off of their name, image, and likeness in association with their status as an athlete at whatever college or university.
And you've written some articles about it too, so we can
Mhm.
maybe link in the show notes so people
Yeah.
can bone up on it if they don't know.
if you're interested. But so one of the big like marketplaces for getting NIL merch is a website called the NIL Store, and they recently have partnered with a couple of like professional associations. So like the MLB was the one I saw, and the women's NBA, which I thought was to offer like now professional athletes like college jerseys and college t-shirts and merch and things, which I thought was a really interesting take on it because, once those athletes like hit professional status, whatever you want to call that, I feel like that's historically has been their identity, as the professional athlete, not as the collegiate athlete. But I do think that with the rise of NIL, there have been a lot of athletes that have gotten really, really popular in college because of NIL and social media and all of this stuff. So there's a market now for
Yeah.
that. I'm thinking specifically of Paige Buchers on the Connecticut women's basketball team, who her like collab with the NIL Store I saw is still like in the top 10 selling athletes, like female athletes on the NIL
So she's
Store,
in the
even though she's-
WNBA now,
Mhm.
but what
She
they're selling in
graduated
the NIL is
a
her
year
college.
or two ago. I forget if she graduated in May or like last May. I don't remember.
So
off the top of my
they're
head.
selling
Mhm.
selling her stuff that it's like her
They're selling
vintage-
her like UConn jerseys
Hmm.
on the NIL Store, but it's still, even though she is no longer on the UConn
Oh,
women's
okay.
team, it's still
Yeah.
like in the top 10
Okay.
for October, for example. She was number 2 of like
Interesting.
the top selling female
Interesting.
athletes on the website,
Yeah.
even though she's
Yeah.
now a professional player, which I just thought was fascinating that there's a market for that specifically now.
So what do you think we can take away from that, like as far as like the promo industry as a whole?
I think it's very much a print on demand. I think this whole website is powered by print on demand. And I think that's how a lot of their stuff operates. So I don't know. I would be curious how it continues to grow, especially for sports that are not, your basketball and your football. Because there are plenty of athletes on some of these lists and some of these teams that like are not basketball and football, and like there's opportunity there. So I would be really curious to see if there are other ways that promo people could get involved. I know working with colleges can be like a little weird sometimes in terms of like licensing and
Yeah.
all of that legal craziness. But like if you have an existing relationship with a college or like even with a high school, like I would be really curious to see like what opportunities would be there
Yeah.
to kind of play around in that space.
Well, I think what is interesting too is that just because someone is out of college, that they're still an
Mhm.
alum. So yeah, can we take advantage of, their past, their history, the heritage? We don't have to just like forget about someone or drop them once they're out of school. Like there's still an
Exactly.
opportunity to kind of, I mean, it sounds a little crass, like cash in on it, but like there's still room there for something to happen. It doesn't have to be just like a 4-year thing and then you're done with them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So I have my first thing is not as like deep as these ones. It's just I thought it was cute. It was like Crocs is always doing very like clever, weird kind of collaborations, and they have for the holidays they have a Grinch classic lined clogs that are they're like warm and fuzzy. They're like Grinch, kind of have like the green fur of the
Mhm.
Grinch,
Mhm.
little heart, on it. Oh, they
Yeah,
have
like
like
a
a
Santa
pivoting heel
hat, like
strap. Yeah,
gibbets.
yeah, yeah. They're really cute. I mean, the thing with like the Crocs, I've never actually worn them, and I think they're kind of weird and little ugly, but like in the way that a pug is sort of ugly, that's so ugly it's cute, like
It's
but I
really
just
had a
I've
comeback too,
yeah,
like I feel like
yeah.
it was kind of this like, oh, you're wearing Crocs, and now like their branding, like it's really interesting to
Insane.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so my daughter's in middle school. She doesn't wear them, but all of her friends, like everyone wears Crocs like all the time. All the kids, all the middle school kids are in their Crocs.
Mhm.
Um, but I like how they, you know, put the that classic character, and I'm looking for all, with the holidays coming up. I start, my little feelers go out like, ooh, what's going to be the cute like holiday thing? So, um, I think, as far as like takeaways for promo, I think it's just like let's start thinking about the holidays early and what are some unexpected, like nostalgic kind of feel good
Mhm.
things you can do. Is there a way that you can, even obviously this is a licensing thing, just like with the college stuff, but there's some more like generic holiday themed things. Is there a holiday spin you could put on a client's kind of like regular logo that maybe you do like a limited edition, uh, feel good kind of drop with that? And again, print on demand can help you do that. I wasn't intending this to be a print on demand episode, but it has been sort of the theme
The
of the
trend.
year, so it's fine. But yeah, like, is there a way? I think when we can tie into like the holidays and cool things that are
Mhm.
happening, and just like even if you just put a little like Santa hat on like one of the letters of the logo, like maybe that would be cool.
Mhm.
Not that it has to be Christmas centric, but just something, or maybe like turn something into a snowflake. Like let's
Yeah.
use
Turn a
lean into
W
design.
into a menorah,
Yeah, sure. Like lean
like
into
a
the
letter or something. Yeah.
yeah, lean into like the design things you can do to just kind of tweak it a little bit and make it fun for the holidays. And with print on demand, it may not work, but you just have to throw the design up there and perhaps it will. And, then maybe it could become like a bulk order if it was something that was really popular. But like, why not experiment a little bit? Um, so, okay, we've all gone around once, but I think we each have one more thing. So, Tara, what is your second branding excitement?
Yeah. Yeah, so this one, a little bit less seasonal. It is Cava, which is a fast casual kind of Mediterranean bowl brand. I think they were founded in Washington, D.C., and they, I live in Philadelphia and there's one here. But yeah, they are releasing a merch store. So they have, hats and t-shirts, and basically they're based on all the, dips and, the things people love. So feta and hot harissa and all these things, which I think is interesting because it's not just like, promoting the brand. It's like, okay, like what about the brand do people love? And it's also interesting because I think it's part of a larger trend that we're seeing. I think Sweetgreen and Panera also have done this recently. And I know I was just reading something from Fast Company, and they were saying because, people are kind of watching their wallets a little bit more, they're not as willing to spend, $15 on a salad. So how are these companies making money in other ways? And merch and promo is the answer
Yeah,
to that. So
yeah. Was
I thought it was
Panera the
really
one that
interesting,
had
kind of.
the baguette
The
like
baguette bag.
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
I love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one went viral as well. So I think they're kind of figuring out, yeah, what's gonna hit. I think a lot of people are sharing them on social media. They're getting more brand awareness.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really interesting. I'm gonna be curious to see how it plays out.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because merch was the answer also for a lot of musicians, right? Like not as many album sales, so let's, kind of focus in on the t-shirts and the other kind of branded merch that we can
Right.
supplement our income with, which is great. I mean, merch, as like people in our industry say, merch is marketing, merch is, it's a good thing. Like people, like I don't think merch is needs to be a dirty word. Like people want to support and show off the things that they're interested in. So why not? Why not capitalize on that a little?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I feel
so
like when, I mean, I do, oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, I do a lot, I go to a lot of concerts and I feel like everyone is like, that's like one of people's favorite things, like, oh, let's go to the merch table, so
yeah,
it definitely has, an impact on people.
yeah. And then especially if you're going to a concert, then the merch is directly tied into the experience, and that's how that
Exactly.
tangible memory of, where you've been and what you've done. And I
Totally.
guess that's probably why people also get so like salty when you are wearing like the band t-shirt, but you don't know the band. I mean, I think it's a little bit ridiculous to start asking like, well, how many songs do you know? But I guess
Right.
because it is so tied up in identity and like experience, if you're just wearing it as fashion, I guess I can see why people get a little mad about it. I think that maybe they don't need to, quiz people, but whatever. Hannah, what about you? What's your last example?
Mine is also, I guess this is kind of food, drink related merchandise as well. Mountain Dew just released a merch collaboration with, I don't remember what the brand was, but it's kind of leaning into the like retro kind of vintage style of things. It's, like your t-shirts, your hats, your all that kind of stuff. So the very classic items, but I think like retro, vintage, everything like 90s style has been having a moment like in the industry and in
Retro
retail for
vintage.
like a hot minute. Whether that's like heavyweight t-shirts or like design wise and things like that.
Yes.
So I think they made a good call and kind of leaning into that moment. So I think that probably, I mean, I guess we'll see how well it does whenever it
Yeah.
actually becomes available for purchase or things. But
Yeah.
I think that's probably a smart move on their part, like design wise, being a little bit more creative than just having, Mountain Dew with
Right,
like that
right,
bright
right.
green, like
Yeah.
aggressive color on a t-shirt.
So I was making a face just because 90s, like it makes me feel very old to think that that is retro and vintage, but I mean, I am old, so it's fine. But yeah, I think that like leaning into nostalgia and leaning into like those, especially when it's a brand that's older, if they can if they have that library of historic logos and the different things that are already available, like if you can bring them back for an anniversary or just for like a cool collab, people love that. They love that, remembering something from their childhood, or even if it's from before they were born, getting the chance to just sort of see those cool things. Like even my daughter's middle school, I think it was last year, turned 50, and they some of the merch that they released was like 70s style like ringer tees that had like an
Mm.
old school retro logo on them. And of course I bought one of those for her because I thought, oh, that's really cool. And it's just something different than the regular, you know, regular logo. And it speaks to that heritage. It's like, look, she goes to a school that's like 50 years old. This isn't just some new,
Mm.
new building. Um, so the last thing that I was going to bring up, I guess we'll go to Taylor Swift. I don't know. Are you guys Swifties? I know
Yes.
you are, right?
Yeah, yeah, I respect her as an artist.
I used to be anti Taylor Swift, not for any reason, but just I don't know, maybe just because I'm older. But then she's grown on me. I actually do like a lot of her
Yeah.
music now. Um, I'm not now. We have Nate in our office who is, I guess he's probably older than me, but he's a Swiftie, which I think is very funny. But
That's
um,
surprising. Huh.
isn't it? He was
Yeah.
telling me that after her newest album came out, he and his wife like had like just put it on and had like a listening party, and then he was like, and I can rank, which song for me was the best for me. So I'm like, I didn't ask him to do that because I didn't care, but but yes, we have there are some Swifties in the house, in the ASI house for sure. But I just wanted to bring up, this happened a couple of weeks ago, but I thought it was really cool, and it's a great example of using the power of Taylor Swift for something good. Not that she's using it for evil, but like she has so much sway. So she wore this like vintage t-shirt from the Monterey Bay Aquarium that was like, I had two sea otters on it. And I guess Taylor Swift is a fan of sea otters. I don't know her whole lore, but basically when people saw that, I think they brought the t-shirt back and they've raised over $2 million so far. Actually, it was the response was so big that they've had to put the re-release of this shirt on hold, because they have to kind of catch up. I think it's a t-shirt company out of Maine called like Liberty Graphics, and they do like a water-based printing, and they're trying to be more sustainable with it. So they're a small place. They have like maybe 50 employees. So they, if they have sold like over $2.3 million of worth of t-shirts for the Sea Otters, they gotta catch up a little bit. So I mean, you can still donate for ocean conservation work and their Sea Otter program. You just won't get the shirt right now, but I imagine once they catch up, maybe they'll still have it. But I love that idea of you're capitalizing on the nostalgia, you're capitalizing on kind of being in the know of what like Taylor Swift is doing, but you're also saving sea otters. So if you can that's like a sweet spot of like, t-shirts are such a powerful way to raise funds and raise awareness. Mm-hmm. But it also has that cool factor of being like a vintage style, a throwback design. So I think that really just kind of hits like the sweet spot for me of what a great t-shirt can do and what a great kind of promo campaign can accomplish.
Especially when you set the Swifties on it.
Yes, exactly. Yes. You can mobilize them. It was like that whole.
I was just gonna say it'd be interesting. Like obviously Taylor Swift is one of the, if not the biggest artist, with so much influence. But I think there's probably other artists or celebrities who could have maybe smaller level of influence. So that could be interesting to see as well.
Well, and I think I wrote about this a couple of years ago. I think it was Drew Barrymore wore some kind of vintage t-shirt it might have been from like a local news station or something. And she wore it, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted that shirt. So that news station was like, I don't know where, like, we haven't seen this in like 20, 30 years. And then they had to figure out like how to kind of, make this shirt again and sort of capitalize on that moment merch phenomenon. But yeah, I mean, like, it is interesting with like thrifting and vintage tees kind of becoming this commodity, that you do have to sort of be ready. Like if a celebrity is wearing your old school shirt, like hit that button right away and take advantage of it, because people, especially if it's a cool shirt, like people are going to want to get their own version of it. So it's pretty interesting. Well, do any of you have any final thoughts on, branding in the wild that you want to share?
If anyone listening to this has done something fun that they're not on an NDA on and wants to share it with us,
please send it
our way. We love a fun case study, and I'm always in need of stuff for my next Best in Branding column.
Yes. Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, because I think sometimes this is one of my issues with being in news for so long. Back when I was at the newspaper too, people would come to me sometimes and be like, well, I did this really cool thing. Why didn't you write about it? I'm like, well, I mean, I am not magic. Yeah, like if you don't tell us, like we do not know. So we can find out a lot of things. We have a lot of skills, but we can't find out everything, and you know how to get to us. So please reach out, share your stories. We want to hear them. We want to share them. Well, thank you guys so much for chatting with me today.